Hey, thank you for joining me for another episode of Tea with Tasha. I'm gonna just continue on for my baby girls and a little information for my young bloods, my young men that may be watching. A lot of the stuff still the same applies to you as it does for the young women. But the baby girls, that's really where my heart is. I've always wanted to be able to help somebody else because somebody helped me. So I'm gonna give a side note because I know people who watch the videos watch them regardless if it's for you or not. But cuffing season came, baby. It didn't come. And if you are dating or you in the house, I know you get all kind of texts and calls and how you doing because we here in Chicago, it got cold and it got cold quick like when it came through here, baby. And we just had a few nice days, but it's coming back. And I've been checking on my girlfriends, and man, it is hilarious. Men trying to find a safe place to land for the winter. But shame on them for not locking it down when it was time. So continue on in your journey. So back to my baby girls. Like I say, invest in yourself. You are your biggest commodity. Nothing is more valuable than yourself. Nothing is more valuable than yourself. So invest in yourself and continue to evolve and grow and mature. It's easier to do that than to have to change a bad habit later in life. Evolve, grow, and mature. And as you're going through this process, especially for like even high school and college, you're going to come across situations and relationships with young men and young women, especially if you're a young woman. You're going to come across girls who may not be in your corner. And if you are experiencing that, let it go, and continue to grow and evolve because sometimes we just outgrow people because we mature to a point where they just not there yet. Or if a young lady shows you that she has some ill will towards you in her heart, it's there. And you see it once, okay, you make note. If you see it again, you say something. And if you see it a third time, let it go. Because that's just going to be something that's going to always be there. Some people, I would think about like how when young women would be jealous, but they mama's the same way. They raising them that way. They catty. It is what it is. Don't participate in that field. Don't even give it the energy because and especially at this age, and I've seen it more than one time where when they're young like this, they come to blows. Like I had this girl, jumped out the bag on her, pulled her hair out, and that's what they're gonna try to do, pull your hair out, and just got into a fight. And if anybody started a sentence, well, you think no, I don't. You just don't feel good about your own self, so you projecting that onto me. Stay out of that kind of stuff. You got better things to do with your life than to be catty with some girls because it just gets worse because jealousy is a very evil thing. And when it grows, it's going to produce something because at the end of the day, people that are jealous, they just want to see you fail. They want to see you hurt because of whatever deficit they got going on in their life. And so it's not going to be a healthy place. When you see it, give it some distance. Let them be. They may grow and evolve and, get better, but usually that kind of thing doesn't get better. And you don't want to waste your time or your energy dealing with relationships that are just fruitless. You don't have time for it. I know you're young and you got all the time in the world, but you don't have time for fruitless relationships. And if you grow and you evolve, you won't have to worry about running in circles with people from your past because the version of yourself that they are used to, you will not be. Especially say you go away to school and you go away and you have to grow up and learn and you have to figure things out and you come back and you may deal with some friends and you kind of, can't gel with them, can't vibe because you grew up. And so I'm not saying that you ain't got to be friends with them. I'm just saying that recognize the growth and nothing corrupts good character but bad company. Hanging around people who don't make you better, hanging around people who don't care how you look. Like if we going out and if one of my girls don't look right, I'd be like, hey, what's wrong with you? Why your feet not done? Or why this? Or why that? Like, pull yourself together because I want you to be your very best self. You need to invest in you as a young woman. You need to be taking care of yourself. Your hair should be all over your head. You a young woman. Don't be average and don't be regular and don't be random because you don't want anybody to treat you that way. So evolve and grow. And people from your past, you won't even be able to connect with them because the version of you that they knew is gone. You grew past it. So keep moving forward. God will continue to put people in your life, better people in your life, and better people in your life. If you're a young woman and you got 2 friends, you doing good. You doing good because the older you get, the less you're going to have. And I got a few, and I have been blessed to have more as I have gotten older because I knew what to look for. And if you connect, you connect. It's just like relationships with men. If you connect, if you connect. If you don't, you don't. I don't force it. And when things change and a relationship change and things aren't the same, I have learned one thing, and I had to learn this, I think, like in my 20s because I went through some things and it hurt. And so one thing that I learned is that when people walk out of your life, let them. Let them. Don't try to keep them. Don't try to, or we could just, no. When people walk out of your life, let them. When they show you who they are, believe them. When they say what it is, they mean it. That was the one thing that I learned, that if I got into a situation with somebody and they distanced themselves from me, I let them go. I didn't cry. I didn't hurt over it. I may have hurt, but I didn't try to make it be, because one thing that I know is when you try to keep somebody in your life and the season for them is gone, everything after that is going to be pain. Pain after pain after pain after pain, because you are in the wrong place. You in the wrong space. That does not vibe with you anymore. That's not who you are. Let it go. You may be like, oh my goodness, I miss hanging out with them or whatever the case is. But when people leave your life and when they kind of take an absence, let them go, because everything after that is just going to be a painful experience, because you trying to keep something that's not for you anymore. And one thing that I can say is be very cognizant of the fact that you want to be in God's will for your life. And so if you're not like a spiritual person, you still want to be in alignment with the universe for your life. You want to be in alignment with the universe for your life, because that's where the blessings are going to be, the opportunities are going to be. That's where they're going to be, in alignment. It is important to stay in alignment, and I'm always very aware of staying in alignment. I'm much older. I learned one of my number one prayers is I pray that I stay in God's will for my life, because that's going to be a peaceful, safe place. Every time I've stepped outside of it, I've always experienced just pain after pain after pain. But when I'm inside of the will, then it's a safe place for me. So I'm always kind of like, okay, where should I be? Like even today, I was going to start a video at like 10:30 and I had like an hour, but it wasn't time. And so I got to the camera and I said, no, this ain't it. And I wanted to make sure I could get it out, but I said, you know what, let me be in alignment. And so something ended up happening where I had to go and help somebody as an emergency 15 minutes later, like just randomly 15 minutes later. And if I had started the video, I would have had to rush, or I would have actually missed the opportunity to help them, because I would have been doing something that I, wasn't supposed to be doing. So it's very important to stay in alignment and think about what that feels like. As a young woman, one thing that my mother did teach me is how to use and learn my intuition and how to recognize it. When those small voices tell you to do X, Y, Z, learn to be obedient. Learn to be obedient, because that's the God in you or the universe in you trying to guide you to your best place. Like I remember one day I just heard a small voice say, take a spoon to work. And my problem is I always want to figure it out. I want to know why, this and the third. And I just was asking questions like, why? I don't need no spoil, da da da. And so I didn't do it. And literally, when I got to work, one of the girls at work needed a spoon for whatever reason. And I was like, man, I should have done it. Like, just should have done it. And so now I try to just be very aware of staying in that sweet spot of God's will, just in that sweet spot of where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing, because it matters. And listening and obeying and asking less questions about the why, just doing what I'm supposed to do. Like sometimes when I'm talking and I'm saying stuff, it's like, God gave me something to say and I'm kind of nervous about it. But I'm like, hey, if God be for you, who can be against you? It is what it is. I got enough friends. I'm not trying to impress nobody. I'm just trying to do what I feel like God has told me to do. Open up a path and a way for me. And I'm so excited. And like my life is just blessed because I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. That is a good feeling, knowing that you are where you're supposed to be, and that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. It is just a lovely place. And when I see things unfold the way they do, man, I am just blessed. I'm just so blessed because sometimes and a lot of times we can't see the whole plan. We can't see the whole thing, but we can only see a little bit. But that's what faith is. Faith is doing it without knowing. Faith is, I have faith in that this is the process and I'm going to go down this road, even though I don't have all the answers. I don't know how it's going to end, but I do know that God wants to prosper me and not harm me. So I'm going to keep going down this road. And it's just an amazing place to be. And as a young woman, learn to tap into that. Learn to tap into your intuition. Learn to tap into when you hear that small voice tell you to do something, learn to do it. Learn to listen. Learn to acknowledge it and ask for direction. Ask for help when you need things, but learn to listen and pay attention to how that listening goes. Because the more you listen, the better it gets. The more you listen, the better it gets. The more you listen, the better it gets. Even for my young men, when you hear that voice inside you say, don't do this or don't do that, or don't lose your cool, or this, that, and the third, listen. Because it's the God in you directing you. That's how he directing you. That's how people see God, through people. Jesus already came, so they already saw him in the flesh. But God is going to see God through people and how we behave. We are the ones that's going to show him either it is real in our life or not. So learn to listen to that intuition, because as you grow up and as you kind of wean yourself off your parents, now you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet. You're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet, and you're going to have to learn to have that intuition for yourself, because a lot of times we have it for our kids. As parents, I remember one time I was going to get somebody from somewhere, a church friend or somebody, and she lived in like the west side, but I didn't know the streets. I didn't know if it was a bad neighborhood or not. And I remember I was like, oh, I'll go get her, because I was like 20 or something. I was old enough to drive. And so I went, and when I got there, I didn't know, because back then we did not have Google. We did not have, you just had to know where you was going, or MapQuest. So I got in front of the house, and me not knowing where I was, I left the car running, and I left my nephew in the car. He might have been 10. I left my nephew in the car, and as I went to try to knock on the door, try to find the house, some young men came, stole the car, took my purse and put my nephew out, thank God. And it was kids. It wasn't like criminals. But, we got back home, whatever. And my mother said, God told me not to let you go. He told me not to let you go. He said, don't let her go. Go yourself. And I was like, wow. Wow. And like I said, my mother's very intuitive. And I guess she was doing something. She just kind of was like, it'll be okay, whatever. And so that taught me, one, listen to your intuition, because you don't know what's out there. You don't know what you don't know. And there have been plenty of times when I have averted crisis or averted something just because my mother taught me that. And I learned, and because I was so young, sometimes I didn't know how to apply it. I didn't know what to do with it, but I knew well enough that it didn't feel right. It ain't right. I'm leaving. Like I say, one time I was out with some friends and I think it was homecoming or something, and we were trying to go to sneak the home run in on Cicero. And, I'm like, want to follow the rules. They used to call me goody two shoes. I'm like, whatever, I'm going to be safe. And we get out there and I see somebody I know, and it's like one of my mother's friends, and I'm devastated, like, oh my God, I told y'all this wasn't the right thing to do. And I said, hey, I don't care. I think the guy I was dating was the one with the car. I said, we leaving, and we leaving right now. And they was all mad with me. And I was like, I don't care, because we already in trouble. We already like where we not supposed to be. And so we left, and word got back later on that night, somebody's car like blew up in front of the restaurant. And I don't know if anybody was hurt, but I just understood that what if we were there? What if we were there? What if we got hurt or burned and our parents don't even know where we are, what we doing? Man, I'm so glad I listened, but I should have listened and just said no from the beginning and not done it. But it's just life lessons. Listen to that intuition. Listen, like, when you go somewhere and it don't feel right, it ain't right. If you go to a party and you could feel like the temperature change in the room, leave. Don't try to stay to figure it out. I know one of my girlfriends, it was a shooting in Woodridge, and it was like in front of a liquor store, and she was hanging out with her friends. Everything was fine. They kicking it. But a friend of hers, a guy friend, called her and told her, you need to leave. Something finna pop off. And so she was like, well, okay. And so her friends didn't want to leave. And she was like, well, I'm leaving because I'm not about to let nothing happen to me. And literally the next, like maybe an hour later, this is Woodridge, somebody comes shooting and like a couple kids got killed. And it's like, man, like I say, life is real out here. Life is real. You do not want to be in places where you're not supposed to be. You do not want to be in places where you're not supposed to be. You do not want to be with people who you're not supposed to be with. Your parents trying to keep you safe. They doing their best. But follow the rules and do what they say do. Life is too complicated out here to be disobeying your parents. I remember one time when I was young and I did something. And I lied to my mom about it. And when I saw the look on her face, oh my God, she was just like heartbroken and like, oh my God, I can't believe you lied. And she was just heartbroken. And I remember thinking, I'm not lying to my mom no more. Not to please y'all. No, I'm not lying to my mom because nobody has my back more than her. My mother let me drive the car. She let me stay out. She gave me a lot of freedom, as much as I was responsible for. But I was like, I never wanted to see that look on her face. I never wanted her to look and feel betrayed by me. That I chose somebody over her. When my mother has my back, my mother was getting my hair done. I was 12 years old. And my bangs were so cute in my ponytail. I know you couldn't tell me nothing. But just the fact that at 12 years old, my mother was taking me to the beauty shop. She was going every week and I was going every other week. And that was a blessing. That was a blessing. As a young man, as a young woman, I know it might not be trendy, but don't lie to your parents. Don't lie to your parents because nobody has your back more than them. If something happened, talk to your parents. They may be upset, and for the parents, put on your poker face and go cry in a corner later. Because some of the stuff they're going to tell you is going to be like, oh my God, but they live in life. So put your poker face on, let them say what they got to say, and just, guide them as much as you can. And go cry later in a corner because you didn't know your kids was growing up that fast, but they are. Educate them as much as you possibly can because you do not want the world to do it. You do not want the world to do it because it's going to be a lot of misinformation. A lot of misinformation, and you don't want them to be out here naive, not knowing what's really going on. So listen to your parents. Don't lie to your mom. Don't lie to your mom. I know sometimes I think parents are less, maybe they are, I don't know. I'm not as overprotective or so strict because I want to see what level of dumb my kids are. I want to see what kind of mistakes they're going to make. I want to see it now because if you away at college, I can't see nothing. I want to see now. I want to see how I can help you now. because I do not want you out there making some mistakes and you out of my face. I can't see you. I don't know what's going on. If your kids are away at school, FaceTime them. Don't let them just talk on the phone. FaceTime them. Look at them. I remember it was one thing where this family, or it was a young man, and they FaceTime their son, and they recognized that he had the same clothes on that he had the previous week, and they realized that he needed some type of intervention. You need to have a heartbeat on your children because they going through some stuff. You just have no idea. And be praying for them. Be praying for them and don't give up, because I know sometimes it feel like, oh my goodness, they're not listening, but they are. They just living and listening at the same time. So don't lie to your parents, because nobody has your back more than your parents. Nobody gonna support you more than your parents. Your friends not gonna pay your bills. Your friends not gonna pick you up and drop you off. Your friends not gonna be there in the middle of the night. Not all of them. But don't lie to your parents. It is not, you don't want your parents to feel betrayed, because it is a heartbreaking feeling. It really is. And be where you say you are going to be. Be where you say you're going to be. Don't step outside of that, because remember how I talked about being outside of the will of God? Your parents are in charge of you. Your parents are responsible for you. When you step out the will of what they set for your life, then you're in a dangerous position. When you go places, like say they drop you off at the mall, stay your behind at the mall. If they drop you off at the movies, stay your behind at the movies. Don't try to go no another place, because now, first of all, if something happened, they don't even know where to come and get you, and you can't control nothing. And that is just like, a predator. If somebody trying to get you to another location, now they can do things to you that you can't stop, because now you're in a private location. Stay where you're supposed to be. If your mom say you can't go to that boy house, it's for a reason. It's for a reason. If the mom say you can't go to the girl house, it's for a reason. If they say stay in the living room, they mean it. It's for a reason. They just trying to keep you safe. You have enough time to be an adult. All the time in the world. All the time in the world. You can ask any adult right now, and they would say, if I could go back, I could just want to go back to, I'm 21. If I could just go back to 21, I could make some better choices. Just 21. I don't want to do high school over, none of that, but 21, I could, go back. But nobody is going to say, oh my God, I love it here, the adulting. No, it's a lot. It's a lot to adult. And it's going to get more intense as you move forward. And if you are dabbling in adult choices and you still a kid in your mind, you're going to be paying adult consequences, and you a kid, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to be painful. And your parents going to have to pay it with you, because if you have a kid, that kid going to be in your room with your Spider-Man or your, Barbie wallpaper. It's ridiculous. Come on. It's a path that you choose, but it's just not the right one. You have all the time in the world to be an adult. Enjoy being young. Enjoy being a young adult. I can say I enjoyed my 20s. I enjoyed being young. I enjoyed taking care of myself, because I wasn't sexually active. I wasn't out here trying to date everybody. I was doing me. I was 21 on a cruise, taking trips and doing things, and I had me a good time. And so when it came time to have my kids, I wasn't all trying to kick it every weekend, because I had my fun. I had traveled and done things and been on cruises and islands and everything, so that when I had them and I needed to sit down somewhere and raise my children, I could, without feeling like I missed out on something. The streets is always going to be there. Take your time growing up. Take your time. Don't be in such a hurry, because if you don't prepare and plan and do well to get there, it's going to be chaotic. When you get there, you're going to be making mistakes. This is the time to get your education. This is the time to get to know yourself. Really get to know yourself, because you need to know who you are and what you like and what you want. You need to know if you like the beach or you like the lake. Do you like the mall or do you like the boutique? Do you like online shopping or do you like to go to the store? It's a lot that you don't even know about yourself. And how can you ask somebody to commit to you when you don't even know who you are? And same for him. How can you decide, what you want when you don't even know who you are? As a young man, young blood, you need to be working. You need to work as much as your school books will allow you to work. Meaning, if you highly intelligent and can work 2 jobs and still function in school, do that. Or take as many hours you need to work. Work, because this is what your young body is made for. Work. And get you opportunities and excel in your job. And don't be in such a hurry to chase the girls, because they're going to always be there. But this is the time to figure out what you want out of your life. What kind of career you want. If you feel like that you're not cut out for college, express that to your parents and let them know. If you want to take a trade or do something else, express that to them. There are different opportunities out here. But I would say, if you in your 20s, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Figure it out. Because life is going to continue to happen. It's going to continue to come. And if you're wasting your time, don't give a penny any job too much of your time. Figure it out. Figure it out. And stay in your job and be responsible so that you can have opportunities. If somebody leave, you can, go upward and be in management or whatever the case. But as a young man, you need to be working, saving some money, trying to get you a car, trying to get independence for yourself. That's what men are made for. Men are made for work. So as a young man, you need to be working. Young ladies, you need to be working because you need to stay busy. And you need to be in school. Young men, if you're working and in school, do your best. Do your best when you're on your job. And especially as a young Black man, do your best. Keep your nose clean. And I know that the older you get, the harder it's going to get, because people are intimidated by young men, especially young Black men. They're just naturally intimidated as you get older, get bigger, your shoulders, your height, your voice, your feet get big, everything. Everything starts to change. And so you're not cute little so-and-so no more. And they're going to kind of come for you a little bit. And so you got to learn to control yourself. You got to learn to control your emotions. Learn to control your temper. Learn to control your temper. Learn to communicate in a calm, effective way. Because your boss gonna try you, and that's just what it is, because they just feel a type of way. I don't know what it is. It's just because you great. That's just what it is. You great, and they feel a type of way. You gotta try to keep your cool. You don't want to get fired from your job. You don't want to get in trouble. Keep your nose clean. Keep your nose clean and stay on your job and do what you're supposed to do. My thing is work as unto the Lord, and that's in anything that I do. And sometimes I can do too much. Like if I'm having a party, I'm doing too much because I just want to make it nice or whatever. But my mother taught me young, work as unto the Lord. Work as if God is watching you, because He is. But that's the type of work ethic that you need to have. Don't let nobody use you. Don't let nobody take advantage of you. Don't try to do more than what's required. Don't have them having you do more than what your pay grade is. Do what your pay grade is, but work as to the Lord. Because if you practice now doing things halfway, that's not going to just cut off when you get to a job that you like. You still going to have sloppy habits. Establish good habits now. Don't be sloppy with your habits. Don't be late clocking in, clocking out late. Like, don't do that kind of stuff, because people are watching. And that's how you get promoted on your jobs, when you are working diligently, being responsible. And that's essentially what being an adult is. Being responsible for yourself without somebody having to look over your shoulder, because you are not getting away with anything. If they told you to put away XYZ and you didn't. If you didn't have enough time, that's one thing, but you're not getting away with it. Believe you me, that like I say, the audit is always coming. If you're stealing time, whatever, the audit is always coming. You might not get caught right then and there, but you are going to eventually get caught. And then the consequences are coming. Work as unto the Lord. Be good at what you do, because it's what you're doing. How can you get more if you can't be responsible over little? Those are just principles. And just because they're from the Bible, those are just biblical principles, but they're natural life principles. If you cannot be responsible for this job, small job that you have, how do you think you're going to have a bigger job making the money that you need to make? You're not. Because everything has levels and there are no skipping levels. You're going to have to go through each level to be able to get to the next one and the next one and the next one. If you can't learn to control yourself on your job, how are you going to learn to control yourself if you're a supervisor with your people that you have to be in control of or be responsible for? It just doesn't happen. That's not how growth works. If we can be responsible, like I say, my daughter started off as a bagger at a grocery store. And let's say April, she was 16. She started off as a bagger and getting carts, all that. I had to bring her clothes one day because she was soaking wet. She was out there in the rain. It just one of those microbursts. It just started raining, but she was diligent in what she was doing. She continued to do well. And when August came and the young man was leaving for college, she was able to get his position. She went from bagger to service desk in 6 months. 6 months. Because she knew how to deal with people and because she knew how to, work and be responsible without somebody hovering over you. Because that's what adulthood means. You are responsible without somebody having to tell you every little thing to do. Wash your face, brush your teeth, get in the shower, do your homework, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. That's what it sounds like, da-da-da. Your parents fussing. They fussing because you're not doing it. They just fussing because you're not doing it. Take some initiative. Do what you're supposed to do without being told. You know what the expectation is. You know what's required. You know what you require of your mom. Let her just get lazy one day and not buy no groceries. Just not buy none. Skip it. I'm tired. I don't feel like it. I'm going to get to it. You're going to be irritated. I remember one time with my son, I would say, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. He didn't want to do it. I said, okay. So I said, okay, now's the time for consequence. So I'm going to come up here, the room not clean. I said, okay, so I need you to do this, because now you need specific direction. And you know what it is. We've been cleaning your room since you was 2. We know what this is. You know what the expectation is. My house going to be in order a certain way, and it's going to always be that way. It's never going to change. As long as your room is in this house, these are the expectations. So he tried to go up there. He cleaned a little bit. And so he come to me, he said, can you check my room? And I said, yeah, when I get a minute. Can you come check my room? Yeah, when I get time, I'm busy right now. This went on for 2 days. Because by then I had taken something like the game or the remote or the phone or whatever. And it went on for 2 days until he kind of like boxed me in a corner. I was like, come on, Mom, this has gone on long enough. And this, that, and the third. And I checked it. But he understood. You see how you ignored me? You see how you didn't do what I asked you to do? And when I reciprocate that energy, you're not going to be able to take it, but that's what's happening. That's what's coming. Because I'm only going to talk for so long. I'm only going to repeat myself so many times before the consequence come. I am going to take your stuff. And if you still doing that, you're not being responsible. Like I would tell my kids sometimes, I say, hey, you need to get this. You need to get whatever this lesson is I'm trying to teach you because you levels behind. I have so much that I have to teach you. I have so much that you need to learn before you leave up out of here. We haven't even gotten to credit and bills and all that stuff yet, and you can't clean your room? Come on. Come on. I don't know, who needed to hear that, but get yourself together. There's levels to this, and you can't skip no level. You can't skip no level. If you cannot pull yourself together to do these small things, great things will not happen. There's levels to it. I hope you have enjoyed this tea with Tasha. Until we meet again.